Parents or not, maybe you're a boss, maybe you're working in essential services. These are extremely stressful times at the moment. Certainly doesn't sit well with our bodies and our overall energy levels. I think all of that, there's been a kind of general sense and set today. Everyone's feeling a bit subdued. We are starting to feel the physical effects of this stress now manifest. And we often find our overall health takes a bit of a knock, affecting our energy levels, feeling tired when waking up in the morning. And when it hits that afternoon slump, I know all about that, your energy plummets and our focus is just about non-existent. So we thought let's dial it back a little. Let's chat to an expert in the field, to Stress Program Director at Recovery Direct, on how stress directly affects our energy levels. Doug Kemp, thank you so much for joining us.
How are you?
Thanks for joining us at our 1.5 meters. We've obviously had to make various adjustments, and I mean the stress in this instance plays out on a number of levels. And it's brought about almost an existential crisis because we're having to think so deeply about so many things. But maybe let's get quite general and talk about anxiety and the toll that it takes on our bodies, and what causes stress. What's actually going on when we feel the physical effects of stress?
Thanks, Graham. I think stress is really systemic to a number of different factors in our environment. It could be work-related, it could be relationship-related, it could be very related to the types of foods that we're eating on a day-to-day basis. So all these things play into what we call psychological stress. And certainly, I think with the present situation, people are really starting to feel what general anxiety is actually all about.
If you're not a little bit stressed right now, I want to know how and why.
Correct, yeah. So general anxiety is almost this feeling that something's going to go wrong, and you constantly have it. And that really is the focus of so many behavioral disorders thereafter. So really, we have a disordered emotion, something's going wrong. That leads to a disordered thought process, which in turn leads to disordered behavior. And these things are the cycle of what stress really is. Disordered behaviors such as excessive alcohol consumption or not getting enough sleep at night, those things all play into creating this environment of stress. So obviously those things are the things that we can go back to start resolving what the actual stress is. And really understanding our environment better through our emotions is what we're trying to get to.
Maybe we are being forced through an exercise in that space right now. We're going to understand ourselves and our environment a lot better after the next 21 days. How does stress then affect our bodies? Because you talk about it as an emotional state, but it really does have a physical effect.
So certainly your body is very much connected to your emotional state in terms of how people self-soothe and how they get back to a de-stressed state. Often involves external factors such as alcohol consumption or substances. But certainly we're very connected to the way our emotions are and the behaviors that we're using to actually subdue those emotional things. So we can't unfortunately separate the two. But what we do know is that certain, by taking a multivitamin diet in terms of actually eating whole foods and so on can have an effect on the body and can have an effect on your greater well-being, which is obviously going to help the whole thing work properly. But yeah, unfortunately, we can't separate the emotion and the body.
We're a system, yeah.
We're a system.
What are the first major signs, worrying signs of stress?
Look, I think that stress plays out differently in different people, but certainly we see behaviors for people trying to restore self-calm in their lives again become problematic. And this often turns out into behaviors such as alcohol use and substance use disorders. But generally, I think that people start to understand that we're almost going into routine behaviors that are not, how should I say, progressive to one's well-being.
Okay.
So that's
destructive patterns.
So really one needs to start examining those destructive patterns and looking into introspective things like meditation and mindfulness and so on.
Why is it that some people handle stress better than others? Is it how we're wired?
It's how we learn the ability to self-soothe, and that comes from a very early childhood age, and it goes through us, and we learn behaviors to self-soothe throughout our lives. And very many people just haven't learned the right behaviors to self-soothe without bringing in external influences. And so one needs to do a lot of examination to understand how it is. And if you have got that backing and learning how to self-soothe, you're much less susceptible to being stressed than if you haven't got that back.
Just very quickly to wrap up, what would you recommend is a great way to start to manage your stress? I know it's a journey, but
Right.
where do we begin?
It's a very, I mean, we can really go back to what mom and dad said back in the day: eat your vegetables, you know, like don't drink too much, stop smoking. These are very obvious things. These are behaviors that we're using that are compounding stress. But certainly I think that sort of mindful examination of what your routines are and how you can change those routines in benefits to your greater well-being, because stress, anxiety, the nervous system, the immune system, they're all linked together. And one needs to start examining, you know, all parts of that system in order to start finding a path that is, you know, progressive towards your well-being in general.
Better patterns, good
Better
patterns, as
patterns,
opposed to bad patterns.
No routines.
And mindfulness, I think, is a great place to start. Thank you so much. And stay safe, my friend.
Thank you, you too, and good luck with your next couple of weeks.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think due to these trying and stressful times, we've obviously had to make a lot of changes. Unfortunately, we are postponing our VITA-THION adventure race. I know this is extremely sad. I was looking forward to leaving our cute little kitty cat in the dust. He's quite competitive, and I think it was going to burn, man. It was going to burn. But for now, we are awaiting new dates for the triathlon. Like everything else, it's a day-by-day thing. We will keep you posted. You're lucky, buddy. You're lucky. You're lucky.
Activate your beast mode with VITA-THION.